This week on Earth, we've got headbutting sperm whales, rare predators in Cornwall, puffins are on the brink, and a new dinosaur discovery in South Korea. I'm Ben Anderson and welcome to Wild Earth News. Before we start, please click the subscribe button below. Our goal is to make fortnightly wildlife news, and it will only be possible with your support. Anyway, enough of that. We'll start this show with a really great one. A pine marten has been caught on camera in Cornwall. But this isn't the first sighting of these arboreal mustelids in Cornwall. A couple of years ago, there was another sighting. But was it the same animal? Once common across southern Britain, pine martens were driven to near extinction by habitat loss and persecution. I was fortunate enough to see them a few years ago in Scotland, but in recent years, carefully managed reintroductions in places like Dartmoor, Exmoor, Cumbria and the Forest of Dean have begun to rebuild populations. This second sighting could suggest those efforts may now be spreading further than expected. Steve Carter is the carnivore expert at the Vincent Wildlife Trust.
We had one reported to us last year, not at the same site. This was near Helston, but so it's the second reporting of a pine marten in Cornwall for a very long time.
What has caused that and what has led to that?
We've actually been working on pine martens for over 40 years. About 10 years or so ago, we realised that they were recovering in Scotland after decades of persecution and habitat loss, but it was very clear that they weren't going to recover in southern Britain, certainly anytime soon, without a bit of help. So that was when Vincent Wildlife Trust at that point stepped in and we carried out a large translocation to Mid Wales. There's one in the Forest of Dean and one in Devon and the Somerset border much more recently in 2024, 2025.
And these guys down in Cornwall, we're hoping that they are obviously coming from one of yours or one of the Wildlife Trust's releases. But obviously great news that, that they are spreading across the UK and they will move beyond the woodland that you translocate them into.
And that's exactly what we want to see. We want to see after those translocations, we want to see those animals, first of all, establishing territories, but then longer term, we want to see them successfully breeding and dispersing and moving out of those areas where they've been released.
I have a sneaking suspicion we might see a few more of these little rascals across the UK over the next coming years. So if you see one or have any evidence of one, please let the Vincent Wildlife Trust know, following the link below in the description.
Oh my god.
From the exciting return of a species in the southwest to a much sadder story. Just along the coast from us here in Somerset, Dorset's last remaining puffin colony is now at risk of disappearing entirely. Dancing Ledge in Purbeck has been home to these clown-faced seabirds for hundreds of years. But even in recent history, numbers have fallen from around 40 breeding pairs in the mid-20th century to just 3 pairs today. In recent years, the birds have shown some encouraging signs, returning to the nest to mate and even feed chicks. But none have successfully fledged. Conservationists warn the colony could now be lost altogether, as we found when we spoke to Ben from the National Trust.
We've got probably the most smallest and isolated puffin colony now surviving in Britain, sad to say. We had 4 return last week. So we weren't sure after the wrecks of seabirds this winter whether anyone would return. Thankfully, some have. This has reached a point, where the population has been like this now for a number of years, having previously, about 75 years ago, it was in more like 80 puffins. So we did have, in kind of living memory, a kind of a reasonably, more viable kind of puffin population. But the next nearest puffins are either the Scilly Isles going to the west or Bempton Cliffs in Yorkshire to the east. So you get an idea of just how isolated these puffins are.
When numbers are that low as well, all it takes is one bad winter for them and they may not return at all.
Yeah, this winter, particularly with the frequency of the storms, giving them no respite or opportunity to feed up in between, and obviously the sea conditions, meaning that probably feeding, diving down to find food was going to be so much harder as well. Meant that what's already a really challenging, surviving a winter on the Atlantic normally is going to be a very difficult thing, and they're obviously highly adapted for it, but this is obviously pushing them to the limits.
So this is a truly sad state of affairs for this tiny population of these amazing seabirds. If you want to go and see a puffin for yourself, check out some of the links in the description. They're just below the subscribe button, which you should click onto. Now this is a cool one. So South Korea, obviously home to kimchi and some famous demon hunters, but it's now the home to a newly discovered dinosaur species, which has been given the wonderfully cute name of Dulisaurus human. I've probably said that wrong, which is why we've put the spelling on screen too. This small plant-eating dinosaur lived around 100 million years ago, and what makes this individual particularly exciting is that the fossil is a juvenile, just a couple of feet long, which is generally considered quite a rare find amongst paleontologists. Researchers believe it may have had a soft feather-like covering. Its name comes from Dooley, a popular South Korean cartoon character it was thought to resemble. I'd say a little bit of artistic license has come into the naming here. The discovery of Dooley adds to a growing picture of a rich and diverse prehistoric ecosystem in the region. To find out more, we spoke to friend of the channel and friend of mine, Susie Maidment from the Natural History Museum.
Actually, then, on average, globally, somebody names a new dinosaur about once a week. So it depends. Sometimes, you know, those new dinosaurs are found and new discoveries, as is this one. But sometimes they are people just going and revising what we thought we knew about existing specimens, you know, rummaging around in museum drawers. So it's a lovely little specimen. It's very, very nice, very interesting. But, you know, it's one of quite a lot this year, probably.
And talk to me more about the dinosaur.
It's a herbivorous dinosaur. It's a part of a group of dinosaurs called the ornithischians, which are the bird-hipped dinosaurs. These are the ones that didn't evolve into birds, confusingly though. So this is a little one. It is two-legged and had its, you know, sort of forelimbs that probably would have used to pull plants towards its mouth. This one's a really young juvenile, so it's a really, really kind of a baby, and that always makes it difficult for us to understand, you know, where it fits exactly in the kind of dinosaur family tree, because often young animals don't have all the characteristics that the adults have. But it looks like this one is from a part of the tree where we have kind of that it's an early member of a group that would have gone on to become something like iguanodon, and then eventually things like triceratops as well. But very early member of that group.
Is South Korea a bit of a hotbed for dinosaur discovery?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm not really familiar with tons of dinosaurs from South Korea. So I think this is probably quite rare and quite unusual discovery. What we always need to be doing is going to places and parts of the world where we haven't looked really hard before. And, you know, that's really where we're going to find the new specimens. And there are, of course, lots of places, and particularly Africa, India, and some parts of Asia where, you know, we really haven't looked that hard for dinosaurs.
Now this is absolutely amazing. Researchers from the University of St Andrews have captured drone footage of sperm whales headbutting each other. For centuries, sailors told stories of whales smashing ships, but it's never been seen or documented before, until now. Previously, those accounts were largely dismissed, but this footage confirms that whales do collide with force. What's really interesting about this footage is who is doing this behaviour. It's not the larger dominant males like you might expect, it's actually the less dominant younger whales that are seen exhibiting this behaviour. This behaviour could be playing, but it could be younger whales asserting dominance over other whales. Whichever way you look at it, it's absolutely incredible behaviour to see captured on camera. Beavers are fast becoming one of nature's climate superheroes, and I'm on my way to see if we can try and find one or find some evidence of one here in the southwest of the UK. It's pretty exciting that these animals are popping up all over the UK and wider in Europe as well. But actually, the research is starting to show that they are far more important than we could have ever expected. So what's really amazing about these rodents is that new research shows that areas with a beaver dam can actually support and hold 10 times more carbon than areas without it. So they're actually incredible animals to have in an environment like some areas of the southwest. One site in Switzerland captured 1,000 tonnes of carbon over the last 13 years. I mean, to put that into perspective, that is 125 British homes and their annual output of carbon. That's also the same amount of carbon that can be captured by 45,000 trees in 1 year. So in terms of scale, one dam and one beaver site is absolutely incredible. I actually spoke to Josh Larson from Birmingham University to find out a little bit more.
It's a fascinating history because beavers have been hunted for a long time as a food source. So back into Neolithic times, they were prized for for one of their glands, which produced a musk. This musk was in demand all over Europe, UK, everywhere in the world. And of course, they were hunted for their fur. In the UK, they went completely extinct.
But now they're making a bit of a comeback, aren't they?
Absolutely. Huge comeback. Natural migration reintroductions, but also human-aided reintroductions across many parts of Europe. They've always been regarded as the definition, if you like, of an ecosystem engineer, an animal that will profoundly shape its own ecosystem in some way. And the beaver does that probably more effectively than almost any other mammal that we know about. This dam building behavior that they do fundamentally alters how long the water stays somewhere where it goes. So it could push water onto floodplains and create wetlands and ponds that just would not be there otherwise. That's important because when you create these areas of still, slow-flowing water, you create totally different habitats for animals and most importantly for plants as well. And the carbon cycling that we've been studying in particular is also changed a lot. The fact that they're able to provide this habitat for plants that grow and decay every year means that every year a little bit more carbon is added to that soil that would not have been there otherwise. And so if you add that up year on year on year on year, by the time that pond or wetland has filled in, all that extra carbon that's been added creates quite a profound carbon storage that just simply would not be there without the beavers in the first place.
It's pretty ace walking around an environment like this in the southwest of England and coming across quite clearly a fallen tree, but this one is quite obviously been felled by beavers. You've got lots and lots of wood around the base of the tree, which is, you can see that sort of sliced patterning across these bits of wood chipping at the bottom. But then what's more evident is up here. Beavers will eat bark, is their absolute favourite food. They'll also eat twigs and branches and vegetation, but bark is their absolute favourite. And you can see here there's little notches taken out of the wood, the main wood of the tree, and these have all been done by beaver teeth. So what's amazing about rodents is when they close their mouths, their teeth overlap and they actually sharpen each other every time they close their mouth, and every time they chew it sharpens and sharpens those teeth. So for a beaver to chew through something as tough as bark on a tree, they can make very light work of it. It's like a hot knife going through butter. Who would have thought these semi-aquatic rodents could have such an impact on the climate crisis? It shows how important it is for habitats to restore their natural balance and to potentially introduce these species back into the wild places in the UK. I have not seen any today, but I'm pretty confident, pretty sure that over the coming years, we're going to see far more of these animals across the UK and also across Europe. And finally, another massive rodent, this time in Hampshire, where the stories go from the serious to the ridiculous. A capybara, the world's largest rodent, has been spotted relaxing on the banks of the River Itchen. The animal, the world's largest rodent, has broken out of a local zoo with a mate of his, and it was filmed calmly sunbathing on the water's edge. Native to South America, capybara are known for their laid-back, highly social nature, as you can quite clearly see in this clip. This one seemed to fully embrace its freedom. Good for you, mate. Since this footage was filmed, one of the two have been recaptured. So if you're out and about and you spot it, enjoy it. You're not going to see a capybara in the UK very often. What a couple of weeks for wildlife. It's nature doing its thing, sometimes recovering, sometimes under pressure, always surprising. Click the link below to subscribe for your fortnightly wildlife briefing. I'm Ben Anderson, and a wildlife is out there, so go and get it.